Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Burning Rubber podcast for episode 5. I'm Jake Scarborough, joined by our newest co-host, Josh Corrigan and Brendan Reed. How you doing, guys?
Not too bad. Just looking forward to being here. Thank you for having us on.
Hello.
So we've had a lot of events happen since the last episode. Start off the quote-unquote NASCAR silly season. We've had a lot of changes happen. Last time we left off, no one knew who was taking over the 48 at Hendrick Motorsports. And we finally found that out to be Alex Bowman. How do you guys feel about that whole change up at Hendrick?
Well, I think it's interesting. You have Alex Bowman going from the '88, where he filled in the shoes of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Now he is switching to the '48 to fill in the even bigger shoes of seven-time champion Jimmy Johnson. It's going to be an interesting change at Hendrick. They're switching things up. I assume they plan to retire the '88 car with the addition of Kyle Larson going to the 5. Big shoes to fill. Alex Bowman has done nothing but impress me throughout the playoffs so far. He's exceeded my expectations, so it'll be interesting for the future of Hendrick.
What about you, Brendan?
I think it's a smart move for Hendrick. Instead of putting Larson in the 48, LA probably wouldn't have backed Larson after everything that happened. So I think they wanted somebody in there that had a clean slate. So Bowman.
Yeah, and as you guys mentioned with Larson coming back, that's news we received last weekend with Kyle Larson coming back to NASCAR in 2021 with the number 5 team for Hendrick. So now Hendrick's letting Bowman and Larson do dirt, so that's probably exactly what, kind of helped out Larson with agreeing to that deal, is now he's allowed to do dirt whenever he wants. But how do you guys feel about Larson coming back?
I think it's great. Watching the Dale Jr. Download podcast, he clearly said that he's learned his lesson, and he's working towards being a better person. You know what? I believe in second chances, and I think everyone deserves a second chance. And I think Larson coming to Hendrick, new number, clean slate. I mean, the 5 has been previously used by Casey Kane and other drivers, but I think it'll be nice for Larson to pave the way for the rest of his career. I'm interested to see what kind of backing he has with sponsorships. I would assume HendrickCars.com. Who knows? Maybe even Chevy Goods would get on board with Kyle Larson and sponsor a few races next season.
Brendan, what about yourself?
Well,
being a Larson fan?
Being a Larson fan, April was kind of rough. So him going to a much better team than Ganassi. I like it. I'm happy that he's back. And I want to say Lumar might sponsor him for a few races since him and I want to say it's the president of Lumar or something like that. They got really close over everything that happened. So, yeah.
Well, and that too. I mean, it's interesting, right? Because these big companies that have built up their brand, they're gonna have to be kind of willing to put their necks out there and get behind Kyle Larson. It's gonna take a lot, and I'm sure both of them will cooperate with each other, obviously. And I assume Larson kind of wants to. Hopefully, I don't think it'll ever fully disappear, but I'm sure he wants to leave this incident in the past and move on and worry more about racing and helping Hendrick win some championships along with these other young up and comers. So it'll be interesting. Larson was great for the sport when he was there, and he did exceptionally well in the 42 car at CGR. And like Brendan said, with this better Hendrick equipment, I am sure that he's going to exceed expectations.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you guys. Even looking at Hendrick's roster for next year, four young, talented guys, and you've got these guys at Junior Motorsports and Xfinity, like Justin Allgaier, Noah Gragson. They're there for another few years, so, if one of these 4 doesn't provide next year? Could we see one of those guys move up like Noah?
It would sure be interesting. Someone who really kind of disappointed me when they came up was Justin Allgaier when he filled in for Jimmy Johnson at Indianapolis, I believe, when Johnson tested positive for COVID-19. Didn't really have the best run. Had that pit road incident where things got a little bit jumbled up, and just really didn't have the best run. So it'll be interesting. I would presume that a guy like Noah Gragson could get a shot in one of those rides. Hopefully in the next few years, he's impressed everyone in Xfinity. Obviously, the past couple weeks with Martinsville in Texas, he's kind of been on the wrong end of things. But I think he has the most promise out of those two drivers for sure.
I don't see Gregson going to Hendrick and Allgaier at all. I think it'll be Zane Smith in the next year, 2 years.
Interesting.
Kind of a wild card with that one.
Very interesting.
And something I'd like to point out, I don't know if anyone's really said this or not. I kind of find it weird that they're getting rid of the 88 at Hendrick, but I looked at it as maybe Junior Motorsports is looking at a few entries next year for some drivers in Cup.
I mean, that would sure be interesting, right? I would presume that Dale would maybe have to purchase the rights for that number from Rick Hendrick.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that would go, but that seems like a bold prediction. That would truly be interesting. I mean, with the amount of talent that JR has down at Xfinity, wouldn't surprise me if he made a few runs in the Cup Series next year.
Brennan, do you have anything to add to that?
They could do like what they did with Chase when Chase was into 25, but do it with like Noah and have him do select races next season and see how he does, and that decides what they do with them.
Yeah. It would make a lot of sense, like how Chase had the 25, to have someone learn some more in Cup and see, who should take over a car in 2022 or 2023, whenever. But moving on in the silly season talk, Clint Boyer announced retirement a few weeks ago, announced he was quitting and going to the Fox Sports booth, which meant the 14 was open. That caused a lot of stir up with people thinking, Kyle Larson's going to go to Stewart-Haas, and that was the main prediction. And Chase Briscoe ended up getting announced as the driver of the 14. Now, I think that's a good decision based on how he's just performed in Xfinity this year. He's been at least the top guy all season long, and honestly, he may go into Phoenix and win this championship. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not even gonna beat around the bush. I was a firm believer. I was like Larson to the 14. That was my prediction. I was sticking with that. And the guys over at Stewart-Haas kind of threw a curveball. Maybe it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see Chase Briscoe in a Cup ride next year. I mean, he's dominated in the Xfinity Series this year. Him and Austin Cindric go hand in hand. They have been absolutely incredible all year. I can't think of anyone more deserving maybe of this Cup ride than Chase Briscoe right now. I'm sure that, I seen that it was a childhood dream of his, growing up looking at Tony Stewart driving the 14 car, and now he's going to get to follow in the footsteps of Stewart and Boyer, and hopefully pave the way for the next generation of Stewart-Haas racing, along with Cole Custer, Rookie of the Year.
Right along with what Josh said, I also thought Larson was going to the 14. Everything adds up. They're good friends, and they both love dirt racing. So it would have made sense for Larson, but I like Briscoe going to the 14. He's had a great year, and he's probably going to win the championship. Nobody's been able to touch him, so I like the move.
I think a lot of people can agree with the move, and correct me if I'm wrong, at the beginning of the season he said after one of the races that Tony Stewart threw a challenge at him, like he had to hit 8 wins in Xfinity in order to get a Cup ride, and what's he at now? 9, and he's in the Final Four.
He's
Something like that.
he's sure exceeded expectations for sure. It'll be interesting to see him in the Cup ride next year. He's just going to keep on exceeding expectations. Hopefully, he's got a lot to prove coming up into a Cup ride because he's ridden around in Xfinity. He's paved his way through NASCAR, and now he's in the big leagues. Right? He's in the big rig. He's in the 14. I don't doubt that he's going to disappoint anyone. I think he'll be absolutely incredible with the 14. Stuart Haas is looking very strong going forward.
Yeah. And also, he's so far the only rookie moving up next year, right? That we know of?
I'm pretty sure Cindric will run a few races in the 21 car, but I think Briscoe is going to be the only full-time, as of right now, to move up. And, Briscoe, being a little bit older, I think he's, 26, if I'm correct?
Somewhere around there.
Has a little bit more age than some of the rookies that we've seen come up this year under, John Hunter Nemechek, Cole Custer, Tyler Reddick. So someone with maybe a little bit more, I'm trying to look for a good word to describe this, maybe a little bit more maturity, a little bit more just calmness in the way that he acts. So I'm sure he'll handle himself well. I know Tony Stewart was saying something about all these young drivers coming up. Chase Briscoe is a little bit older. He's a little more grizzled, I guess. So I'm sure that was the right fit for the 14. And I don't doubt Tony Stewart's decision. So we'll see what happens.
And to move on with another historic number or 2 more leading up, this one being with Richard Petty Motorsports, we learned last month that Bubba Wallace was leaving Richard Petty Motorsports, and he would be going to 23XI, which is co-owned by Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin. So that made everyone question who's going to the 43. Well, it was just announced a few days ago, I believe, right? That Eric Jones would be going to the 43 next season. And I have to agree with this one only because of the fact that, Eric Jones, he performed in Joe Gibbs equipment, but not like his teammates. And with RPM being a midfield car, I feel like he can kind of build them up from where they are and make them a contender towards top 10s, top 15s. But for a team like Joe Gibbs, where you have 4 cars and 3 of them are winning each week, and you're not doing it, I understand why Gibbs would have let him go.
And Eric Jones, I guess, is just kind of the odd one out in the Joe Gibbs racing scene. Toyota has a lot of good up and coming drivers coming up through the ranks. Christopher Bell is going to be the next. He's going to be driving the 20 car next year. Especially after an impressive run at Texas from Bell. He was amazing late in the run, chasing down his newest teammate, Martin Truex Jr. I have no doubt in my mind that Eric Jones to RPM, Richard Petty is going to give full confidence in Eric Jones and really maybe give him a chance to kind of have that spotlight where maybe he was kind of foreshadowed by the other big 3 at Joe Gibbs Racing. You can kind of compare it to when Joey Logano did go from the 20 to the 22 at Penske. He had a lot to prove, and Eric Jones right now has a lot to prove. He was great in Xfinity. He's floated around in Cup. I'm pretty sure he's got a win or 2. But especially this season, it's been kind of underwhelming. He had a decent finish at Talladega. I'm sure he's had a few other finishes. But like I said, he's got a lot to prove, and I'm sure Richard Petty has full confidence in Eric Jones, and I'm sure he's going to impress with the 43 next year.
Yeah, I like the move for Jones as well. Not the best team out there, but if Petty trusts him, Petty knows what he's doing. He's been in the sport forever, and if he has the confidence in him to think the team could get better with Jones behind the wheel, then go for it. And he really hasn't had the best equipment at Joe Gibbs, but when you're going up against people like Denny Hamlin, Truex, and Kyle Busch, there's a lot you can learn from him, and maybe he could use what he was taught, and take it to RPM and make RPM good or better.
Yeah, and that's something a lot of people have looked at. Yeah, with his uh, 2 wins, I believe it is the Daytona July race in 2018,
Yep, in
and
2019 Darlington.
yeah, and then he won the Clash this year, which was a total wreck fest. But besides the fact, he does have speed. It's just compared to three of the top guys in the Cup, it's hard to really prove yourself like that. So,
and,
hopefully he can prove himself with RPM.
and that's what I fear with Bell being into 20 next season, knowing that there's older, talented people on that team. And Bell's second year in Cup, he's already in Joe Gibbs. So maybe Bell will do more, hopefully. And yeah.
Yeah, it's certainly crazy. I mean, I was watching the video. I think it was Eric Estep that posted a few weeks ago. Just Toyota and the amount of drivers that they have coming up through the ranks, and it seems like a few of them might just get pushed under the rug, such as like Eric Jones kind of got pushed under the rug at Toyota. And Christopher Bell is going to be stepping into the 20 next year, hoping to do the complete opposite of Jones and hopefully to make that 20 car a real staple again at Joe Gibbs Racing and to put it on the map, kind of. But I wish the best of luck to Eric Jones. Nothing but success, hopefully, in 2021. It'll certainly be interesting to see him. I don't know the terms. Is it a 1-year deal at RPM?
I believe it was.
So it's kind of like you got it now. It's a prove it to me situation. He's got a lot to do. I mean, I don't know if the 43 team will be able to compete every week for wins, but if he can outperform in that equipment and maybe get some top 10s, maybe even some top 5s, which would be super impressive. But yeah, he's coming from JGR, which is a historic team. Joe Gibbs has built an amazing program at JGR, putting out the best cars. Toyota, of course, backing them. So hopefully, yeah, like Brendan said, Jones can take some of the tricks that he's learned at JGR and kind of bring them over to RPM and hopefully bring that team to the next level.
And this next one, this just being a re-sign that questioned everyone, especially after the events of Talladega. Wood Brothers announced that Matt DiBenedetto would be returning to the 21 for the 2021 season, and Cindric would take over in 2022. So this leaves a lot of people questioning. Dibby's proven himself multiple times this season, and now next season's his last chance, and he's got to prove a lot next year in order to get himself into a good ride in 2022, and it's going to be insane.
Yeah, it's sure going to be crazy. I mean, Jake, I'm sure out of anyone, you were happy to hear that DiBenedetto's going to be staying in the 21. I know for a little bit it was kind of on the offense. I mean, even Matt DiBenedetto, you've seen in his face when he was interviewing, he didn't even really know the future. But I'm sure Wood Brothers has full confidence in Matt DiBenedetto after he has impressed me plenty of times this season. Of course, that heartbreaking finish at Talladega where you were rooting for him, no matter who you were cheering for. No matter who you were a fan of, you were rooting for Matt DiBenedetto because it would have been awesome for him to get that win for Wood Brothers and for himself. Unfortunately, instead of finishing top 5, he ended up finishing in the back due to a questionable yellow line call. But that's a conversation for another day. But yeah, DiBenedetto has a chance next year to prove himself. I'm praying that he picks up a win. I'm sure he is capable of it. He ran great tonight at Martinsville. All those Penske cars were great at Martinsville. And I'm wondering if DiBenedetto can prove that he is a winner, that he can keep up. Maybe Roger Penske looks to add in a 4th Penske car along with Wood Brothers for next season after 2021. Sorry, when Cindric steps up to the 21. So. It'll be interesting to see for sure.
Brennan, you got anything to add on?
Cindric going to the 21, I think he'll have like the Ryan Blaney career. Do like 2 years in the 21, and then go up to Penske. I don't know how long Keselowski's or Logano's contract's up, but maybe one of them's up after 2021. Maybe Dibby gets a full time ride with Penske or wherever. So
And for the last one with the Cup Series silly season, this one caught everyone by surprise when Kaz Gralla went to social media posting how he had a full-time Cup Series deal lined up, but the sponsorship wasn't there last second. So this leaves a lot of people questioning, including myself, what ride is that? Because he said it was a full-time ride, so that immediately takes the 32 off the table after they announced that they'd become a part-time team. So that leaves the 96, the 77, the second Spire charter, and the 37 as all available cars, and at least that we know of. So now it's everyone's looking at it as, where is he going to go? Is he going to get the sponsorship to finalize this deal, or is he going to be staying in Xfinity as a part-time driver due to this?
Well, it's it's sure going to be interesting. I mean, Kaz Gralla, a great personality, was on the podcast. It was a great listen having him, hearing him talk about his experiences in NASCAR, especially with this year at the Daytona Road Course, having an amazing finish, filling in for the absent Austin Dillon. Completely impressed everyone, and I'm sure he caught the eyes of Richard Childress. And yeah, it's going to be interesting, seeing all the I've seen all the concepts and stuff of potential sponsors for Kaz Gralla. There was Clean Juice, which he's been a partner with. And then there's Slim Jim. I've seen a few of them. It would certainly be interesting. I mean that 37 car really intrigues me, right?
Yeah. Especially with the 37 already having Slim Jim as a
exactly. It's certainly going to be interesting. Plus with that Chevy backing, right? So, it'll be interesting. I mean, if there's anyone that maybe kind of deserves a shot to prove it, Kaz Gralla is definitely one. He's made a name for himself, especially as of recently and especially of this year. So, wishing the best to him, and hopefully he can find himself in a full-time ride next year.
I had a thought a few days ago that maybe RCR will open up a third car again. Bring back the 31 and put Kaz in it, which could make sense, would be possible, but could be possibly the 37. It's the better choice than what I think of.
It's definitely a more logical choice, and I only think RCR has the two charter entries, so they'd have to buy one off, the 37 Spire, maybe even Gaunt Brothers with the 96. But it's going to be weird to look at it.
Yeah, well, it's certainly interesting too, with a few other drivers still yet to know where they're going to be next year, with Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan buying the charter for the 13 at Germain. Where does that leave Ty Dillon, right? He could also be up there for the 37 or potentially the 96. Obviously, Kaz Gralla's name's now thrown in there with his recent little tease. So yeah, it's certainly interesting. It's not an end to silly season yet. There's still a few holes that need to be put together, but yeah, best of luck to Kaz Gralla, and hopefully that he can find a home, because he really does deserve it. He's certainly a good guy. He's a good character, and if I were a company, if I had my own company, I would have no problem sticking my neck out there and sponsoring Kaz.
And for nothing was really talked about with Xfinity besides just a few re-signs. I think Harrison Burton and Brandon Jones were the only ones that really got announced as a re-sign. Good choice for Gibbs to keep him down there another year or so. They should be dominating this series next year with Austin Cindric and whoever takes over the 98, or if there is a car for Stewart-Haas next year. But with trucks, the only one we got announced was after, or in the middle of the Kansas truck race, they announced that Hailie Deegan was going to be taking over a DGR car, and or not car, but truck. It's an interesting move, especially after 1 year in the main division of ARCA. I'm kind of shocked by it.
Yeah, I mean, with Deegan, there's only the way that I look at it is, she, like some other female drivers. I mean, there's the hype around her, right? There's the name, there's the brand that she's built for herself. But if you look even in ARCA, I mean, there's only a few competitive rides each week, and I don't think she's been able to park it in victory lane yet, over some other young up and coming drivers. It's certainly interesting. I think she finished 16th in her debut at Kansas, which for the first time being in a truck, that's pretty impressive from Deegan. It'll be interesting for sure. I think it's a great move for the sport, honestly. I mean, this girl has worked hard to where she is now. And I'm sure the backing that she gets, from Ford Performance, obviously will be a main sponsor, and I'm sure she's going to have no problem bringing in other sponsors. I like this move. I don't see it going wrong. Maybe she can prove herself, and who knows, maybe with that Toyota backing, with that 98 being vacant, maybe she'll get to run maybe a few races next year in the Xfinity series.
I would have gave her another year in ARCA, so she could get the ARCA win, because she finished top 5 in points this year, something like that.
Yeah, but there's like only 7 full-time cars.
Yeah, like really only the top 5 are the only people that are really there, and yeah, I hope they don't do. It seems like with Toyota, like they kind of rush these guys to the rankings.
Yeah.
Sam Myers, hopefully they don't do the same with Brendan Jones, Harrison Burton. You look at Ford, hopefully they don't rush Deegan through the ranks and kind of let her take that pace and kind of grow as a driver before she gets thrown out there with the Wolves. I mean, she definitely did impress at Kansas. So putting her in a full-time truck ride, I mean, there's a lot of pressure on her. She's young, and she's got a lot to prove. And obviously being a female, it doesn't just exclude her, but she's gonna have a lot to prove. She's got a lot of people watching her, and hopefully that she can impress not just her fans, but also sponsors, team owners, and kind of put her name officially on the map more than it already is.
If you want to look at the stats the way I do, she spent the 2 years in the K&N West Division, which then became the ARCA West Division, and then had that 1 year in the quote-unquote main division of ARCA. She had the 3 wins from the West Division, and, she didn't bring that momentum into what actually was a very competitive season for the main division. And DGR is currently building themselves around the Grays, being Taylor and Tanner, and then as well as Deegan. So they're really looking at the future of these 3, and I believe Taylor's probably going to take over the 4 or 17 next season in ARCA. But with Hailie probably taking over the 17 in trucks and her being teammates with Tanner, I think it's going to be a good duo. They've got 2 young, talented drivers that really want a truck win, and Taylor having the year experience right there, she's going to have a little help along the way.
110%. I mean, they're both hungry, right? They both want to prove themselves. They both want to prove that they deserve to be where they are, and I don't think they're going to fall short of that. I think it's going to be certainly interesting watching the both of them next year, and to kind of follow them along through the rest of their career and see how everything plays out.
Yeah, and
doesn't sorry, Jake, but doesn't Front Row help DGR out too in trucks?
Yeah, they're a partner.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, but if you look at the background of Tanner and Deegan came from dirt. Tanner came from drag racing. They come from 2 separate backgrounds that have nothing to do with oval racing or just truck or car racing. Tanner went from driving in a straight line for 3 seconds, and Hailie went from driving the on dirt. It's insane to look at that, and the fact that DGR is putting all their focus into these two, it's definitely going to be a promising run for the both of them.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, they're also kind of putting their necks out there, hoping that these two young drivers can kind of pave the way. And they're kind of taking a gamble here. And I hope that it pays off. I wish the best of luck to both of them. Both of them have some talent. Some others, they definitely have room to grow. Of course, they're young. They're just getting started with the NASCAR, really. So yeah, I'm definitely interested. I'm definitely going to be tuning into a lot more truck races than I did this season, because I'm going to be looking for Haley Deegan to kind of impress me and to kind of see what she's got.
And we move on to the St. Petersburg race for the IndyCar season finale, where Joseph Newgarden had a run for the championship, bringing into the finale with Scott Dixon having a huge lead. I don't know if you two watched it. I certainly did. It was green flag run the entire time. Alexander Rossi dominating the race, caution after caution after caution after they hit the halfway point. Eventually, Rossi ended up wrecking from the lead to ending his day. We almost saw James Hinchcliffe win the race, and that would have been insane considering he's been part-time all year, and he would have won the race after filling in for somebody. We also got the news that Oliver Askew isn't returning, and it was going to be Felix Rosenquist replacing him, Oliver Askew being a free agent now, Alex Palou going to the 10 for Ganassi, Jimmy Johnson announcing he's going to be driving the 48 Carvana car for Chip Ganassi. Everything going on in IndyCar was insane that entire weekend, and then Joseph Newgarden had one goal in mind in that race, and all he had to do to win the championship was win the race, and had to hope that Dixon finished, I believe it was 6th or 7th or worse. And sadly, in Newgarden's case, Dixon ended up getting a podium position in 3rd place. So Penske ended the season off a high note, but it was Chip Ganassi that walked out with the championship. So I don't know if you guys have any comments to put in about how IndyCar went this season.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I mean, congrats to Chip Ganassi Racing for bringing in that championship. And a lot of shakeups happening, right? With Johnson going to be racing the road courses. I didn't catch the IndyCar final, but it would have been amazing to see my boy James Hinchcliffe get a win, even though he was racing part-time. But it seems like there's going to be a lot of shakeups in IndyCar, and going into next season, it'll definitely be interesting to see what happens.
Only caught like the final 15 laps or so of the finale, and I'm glad Dixon won it. I'm a Dixon fan, so Dixon winning the championship kind of was cool to watch.
Definitely. Sad I had to miss out on it, considering the finale normally is in California, but they decided to not race at Laguna Seca, but IMSA just did today, so. Moving on, we had the NASCAR races in Texas. Well, where to start with this?
The Jet Drive 500. I mean, what was it? I think it was the longest the pause in the race for rain delay in NASCAR history. Well, besides back in '73, where I think it was Cale Yarborough was leading a race. Rain delay. They decided that they would leave, go race another race, and then come back, where Cale Yarborough ended up leading the rest of the race and taking home the win, which they probably could have just called them the winner then, but they decided to finish out that race. 72 hours, I think it was, that they went with a pause in racing. And one person that kind of got the short end of the stick was Kevin Harvick after tapping the wall on that Sunday and coming back midweek, and his car just wasn't up to peak performance. It seemed like just that tap of the wall just kind of ruined the whole car for Harvick.
Yeah, that definitely ruined Harvick's race. But that race was interesting. Kyle Busch finally won a race. Bell got 3rd, and Truex tried to close the gap but couldn't. A lot of strategy happened at the end of the race, which was interesting. Kyle Busch couldn't make it, but ended up saving enough just to make it.
Clint Boyer would have had enough, but someone didn't fill up the car all the way.
Yeah, I'd be going after one of those crew members. I mean, his final season, right? Looking to get a win, and I guess just unfortunate bounce that they didn't get it filled enough, and he had to come down pit road, and that kind of killed his run. Kyle Busch keeps the streak alive, and even at the end of the race, he forgot to do his signature bow because it's just been so long for Kyle Busch. Definitely an insane season for him. Not up to I'm sure what he wants, not to what the fans expected. Being knocked out of the playoffs so early, I'm sure it was relieving for him to get that win. But I know, knowing Kyle Busch, that I don't think he's satisfied with that. Being the defending champ, I'm sure he wishes that he was in the Final Four, racing at Phoenix. But it's good to see him keep that streak alive and get a win. And like Brendan said, Christopher Bell finishing third, an impressive run from Christopher Bell. What it seemed like in the closing laps, he had the fastest car on the track, running down Kyle Busch and Martin Truex Jr., who are soon to be his teammates when he fills in the 20. So definitely an impressive run for Bell. And I'm sure that Kyle Busch and Martin Truex Jr. also both noticed that. One more thing to hint is Kyle Busch having to save that fuel, right? You heard his crew chief come on the radio that wait till 5 to go to flip the switch to the reserve tank. And I don't even know if Kyle Busch ended up flipping that switch when he came to the checkered flag.
No, neither do I. Because he was in lap traffic and he was just able to ride the draft for a few laps. He had a big enough lead on Truex and Bell where he could sit back and save the fuel that he needed to. So,
You know who's someone who couldn't hold the gap?
who?
Let's look at the Xfinity race where Noah Gragson choked to Harrison Burton.
Hey man, Harrison Burton drove his absolute butt off in the last little bit of that race. The way that he chased down Gragson in those final 3 laps, and just sticking it in turn 3 and turn 4, and catching Gragson off guard for sure. Judging by the post race interview, I don't think he's seen him coming. He knew that taking the white
An
flag, he had a
8-10th
gap
lead.
and 10th, and just had to hit his marks, right? And Gragson did, and then Harrison Burton with that JGR equipment just absolutely just made Gragson look like a fool, and snagged that win at Texas. So congratulations to Harrison Burton on another win.
And
Yeah.
sorry, Brendan.
Burton did drive. He's a wheel man. I'm just gonna say that right now. That kid is good.
Definitely.
So,
But looking at the Cup race, do you guys think Kyle winning Texas kind of made up for his trucks being totaled in the truck race from Ben Rhodes?
A little bit of a. I didn't end up catching the truck race, but I seen the highlight and I seen the clip of it, and Christian X has all the right to be pissed off. Ben Rhodes seems like he kind of deflected it, kind of tried to put the blame on X. Yeah, Ben Rhodes a little bit of a hothead. I mean,
Yeah.
X had all
Even
the right
killed
to be
Josh
frustrated.
Bilicki at the end of the race.
Yeah, just
Todd.
absolutely insane. Yeah, just outright outrageous behavior from Ben Rhodes. I mean, I guess someone took a piss in his cornflakes that morning because he certainly wasn't having it in the truck race at Texas.
I think what one tweet of the week was Josh Bilicki. Was it Josh Bilicki that instantly went on Twitter and said, Matt Kenseth got any tips?
no, it was Eckes.
Oh, that was Eckes? Oh, man. No, that definitely won tweet of the week. Asking Matt Kenseth if he's got any tips for wrecking someone at Martinsville. Sadly, we didn't see it though, but maybe we'll see it in the finale.
I think if Eckes does do it in the finale, more respect to him. He knew Rhodes had a shot, but he was like, I'm not going to ruin this man's shot to win a championship if I don't have to.
Yeah, because Rhodes didn't make the Final Four, right?
No, you did not.
Yeah, we'll look at that here in a minute. Martinsville, though, being the last race of the round of 8, starting off with the truck race, which was absolutely insane.
Sheldon choked it.
Grant Enfinger won that. A lot of people weren't happy about that. People weren't happy about the fact that Matt Crafton missed it after being defending champion. I don't know. What do you guys think about the truck race?
I mean,
You could go, Josh.
no, you go ahead. Trust me, it's fine.
I think Enfinger, he knew what he had to do. He was just over aggressive, and he even made teammates somewhat right. With Moffitt forcing it 3 wide and finger blocking, and then that spinning out Creed. But he was dooring everybody. And Enfinger is a better driver and knows not to door anybody. But I mean, he did do it to Jordan Anderson in Daytona, so wouldn't expect nothing less from him now.
Seems to be just like another year for Matt Crafton, right? Usually has a hard time squeaking out those wins, but always runs super good. And the consistency just couldn't pay off, I guess, and he couldn't find his way in the Final Four at Phoenix. So it was an interesting truck race for sure. And best of luck to the 4 guys that made it.
Yeah, that being Sheldon Creed, Grant Enfinger, Brett Moffitt, and Zane Smith making the Final Four from that. The Xfinity race, I saw kind of as a snooze fest. I didn't really catch the ending besides Harrison Burton going back to back.
Yeah, I mean, kind of deja vu, right?
Yeah.
Harrison Burton beating out Noah Gragson and I think Cindric.
Yeah, I believe it was
second or third. And Harrison Burton, after being eliminated from the playoffs, has just put together such a strong run, winning at Texas, now winning at Martinsville. Looking into Phoenix, I'm sure he's going to be looking maybe to hit a little three-peat and impress some of the higher ups.
That did put Burton as the youngest Xfinity winner at Martinsville, though, beating his dad. So that's kind of cool. Taking a record from your father.
Records are meant to be beat for sure.
Yep.
And from that, we saw Chase Briscoe, Austin Cindric, Justin Allgaier, and Justin Haley all make the Final Four. I just remember tuning into Martinsville for Xfinity and just seeing AJ Allmendinger leading, and I was questioning everything I've ever known. I never thought I'd see him lead at Martinsville. It's just a random thing.
Was good at Martinsville if you think about it.
True.
He ran good there in Cup. So
with the equipment that he had, yeah.
Yeah, JTG. And then we move on to the Cup race. Very controversial. We're going to hurt a lot of fans' feelings with this one. I'm going to be the first to say it. What the hell was the call on Chase Elliott? With the pit violation over the wall too soon, but apparently a rule I've never heard of, and I don't think half the fan base has heard of, where if the crew goes back over the wall, or at least to the wall, it can be revoked.
I don't think a majority of crew members knew the rule. I mean, you see they've taken penalties during the year for over the wall too soon, and I did not know about this reset. Also, what defines a reset? It seems like the Jackman went over and touched the wall and then decided to go back around and finish the stop. But I would like to know like a clear definition of what a reset is, because really, if that penalty held up, I think we'd be looking at a different playoff picture than we are right now.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seems like over the wall doesn't get caught as much if you really think about it. But I've never heard of that rule before today. So
See, when I looked at the rule and how it was judged, I kind of questioned it because it's like there's easy ways to just break that rule, and that's oh yeah, you see, they're going down the back straightaway, they're coming in like 40 seconds. If everyone just goes over the wall and as long as they're touching it, it seems like they'd be fine with the way the rule's written.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I thought maybe that he would have to go over the wall
Yeah,
instead of just make contact with his hand. It's certainly interesting. I mean, I'm sure NASCAR, they're gonna have to clarify that rule. They're gonna have to define what an actual reset is,
yeah,
so we can maybe avoid the controversy with with a driver and a team that I'm sure is always at the source of some sort of controversy, stirred up by some of the NASCAR fans. But Martinsville, it was a mess. It's
yeah,
that track, right?
yeah,
They said it on the broadcast. It's not about aero. It's about just the driver in the car. It's grueling. It's a lot of braking. It's a lot of the same thing. They call it the paperclip. It was an interesting race, and it was absolutely heartbreaking. Almost made me tear up a little bit at the end, where Kevin Harvick went to go make that move. Actually, well, let me skip back. Brad Keselowski ended up taking too fast on pit exit and having to go all the way to the back. And that was a shakeup there because it looked like Brad Keselowski, he was going to have a run. He was going to be in. He just needed to stick where he was, and he was going to be there. And those Penske cars at the short tracks have just been absolutely amazing this year. Blaney had a good run. Logano had a good run. Even Matt Benedetto with the Wood brothers. Keselowski just trucked his way from the back, quickly moved past Harvick, where he needed to be 4 spots ahead of Harvick to have that +1. We almost seen a tiebreaker. Denny Hamlin almost falling off at the end too. Denny Hamlin cut it very, very close
yeah.
to being out of the final 4. And the one who had the most historic season, I think 9 wins on the season, Kevin Harvick, just absolutely dominant all season, comes up short on the last lap where it's do or die. I don't blame him for doing it. He apologized to Kyle after with his interview. He dove it on that last corner and ended up just spinning him and Kyle Busch when he was trying to make up that one spot for the tiebreaker. And it's just devastating to see something happen like that, right? You can question the playoff format on how insane it is. Like Harvick said, it's not like when Petty and Earnhardt used to run. It's not like when those guys were around. And yeah, it's certainly heartbreaking. Kevin Harvick, probably the most deserving to be in the championship 4, and instead we see Chase Elliott winning at Martinsville, getting into that final 4 spot, and definitely leaving some questions going into Phoenix on who is going to win.
Definitely. And looking at the whole Harvick incident where he spun out Kyle coming out of 4, coming to the checkered, it reminded me of Phoenix in 2014 when Ryan Newman put Kyle Larson in the wall to put himself above the cutoff. And it's, of course, one of those situations. You're trying your hardest to make that final 4. You're wanting that championship opportunity. Harvick has been the dominant guy all season, as you said. And to know one bad race can just ruin your entire championship, and that's what I don't like about the whole playoff format and the elimination format. It's just sad how you can have the best season of your life and one race can ruin it like that.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking for sure. I mean, I had my questions about Harvick coming into Martinsville. I mean, you look at who was competing for the final 4 spots. Guys in the past that have been amazing there. Truex, Elliott's had some good runs. Hamlin's had some good runs. Those Penske cars have been dominant on the short tracks this year, and it seemed like Kevin Harvick might have been the odd guy out. Alex Bowman had that momentum. Kurt Busch, great season from Kurt Busch, getting that win at Las Vegas and getting into the round of 8. But it seemed like I felt like Kevin Harvick was the odd guy out. I mean, I was hoping that he would have had enough cushion to kind of lean back on, and maybe he could just float around, finish in the top 10, and be there at the end. But just bad break for Harvick. Also a bad break for Martin Truex Jr., who at the end was battling with Chase Elliott, and it looked like Truex probably could have made the move and put himself in the final 4 rather than Elliott, but with that tire being loose and him having to come to pit road, he certainly fell back, and you just feel for those guys, right? And congratulations to the final 4 drivers that made it. I'm sure there was some questions, aero package, NASCAR rules. I mean, there's always controversy to stir up, but those guys found the way. Those guys are in the Final Four, and they're going to compete for a championship at Phoenix. So it's certainly going to be interesting to see who comes out on top.
Brennan, you have anything else to say?
NASCAR wants that Game 7 moment with the format. You can tell. And that's kind of what you got tonight with Harvick. Also doesn't help that Texas
Yeah, the Texas
didn't go
incident.
his way either. So back-to-back races in a format like this doesn't help, where you have somebody run you to the wall and cut your tire at Martinsville, and then you tap the wall, and that sends you back to, 19th all race. So Harvick didn't have the best of luck this round, and it sucks. I think a lot of people had Harvick winning the championship, knowing he's good at Phoenix and the season he had. But just what it is.
And making the Final Four for Cup was Keselowski, Logano, Hamlin, and Elliott. So that's going to be an interesting one. But, Phoenix, do any of you guys think that we're not going to see one of the Final Four drivers win the finale?
I mean, it's going to be a toss-up. I mean, I'm sure there's a few drivers that can make a statement. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of drivers leaving it out there on the line to hopefully get a win. The way that I look at it, I'm trying not to look at it from a biased standpoint, being a Kazowski fan, but you look at him dominating at Loudon and Richmond with that car, and he said after he won at Richmond, he says he didn't want to burn it down because he wants it for Phoenix. And Brad Keselowski has put himself in a position where he can secure that championship, which he hasn't done since 2012. And if there's anybody out of the Final Four that has the best chance, in my opinion, I think it's those Penske drivers. I'm not trying to discredit Hamlin or Chase Elliott, but those short track cars for Penske have just been so dominant all season. I mean, outside of the playoffs, maybe you could look at Ryan Blaney, who's had some strong showings. It would certainly be odd to see him win at Phoenix. I mean, Kevin Harvick, I'm sure, is going to be pissed off, and I'm sure Kevin Harvick is going to be looking to find some sort of closure for this season, hopefully to end it out on a win. Kyle Busch still hungry. There's Alex Bowman again with some impressive performances. So it's certainly going to be interesting, and you're really going to see what drivers will do to win a championship.
Yeah, I think what Josh said, Brad and Joey having the best shot. Penske has these short tracks down. Nobody's been able to touch them at Loudon or Richmond. And Logano won Phoenix earlier in the season, right?
Yep.
So they have a win there, and they know what they could do if a late caution happens. And if somebody outside the chase wins, it would most likely be Harvick, knowing he's good at Phoenix. Also, Bowman and Kyle Busch are good at Phoenix. And don't really know how good Truex is there, but one of those three outside the chase could win.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be interesting. You're like I said, you're going to see what drivers are going to do. Joey Logano with a past history of maybe getting under some driver's skin. It's just going to be short track racing. It's going to be short track racing.
Short track racing.
And we're going to see who's going to put it all out there. Joey Logano, not afraid to be aggressive, as he's not made any friends in his time in NASCAR. He doesn't believe that there's time for friends when you're out on the track. Brad Keselowski, also another driver who kind of makes some ballsy decisions sometimes, some questionable moves, but no doubt a talent when it comes to the short track and the rest of the NASCAR schedule. He's been on an absolute tear this season. Chase Elliott, everyone's the most popular driver in NASCAR. I mean, also makes some moves sometimes. Maybe sometimes get screwed by some other drivers. I mean, I'm sure Chase Elliott is going to be hungry, looking for a championship. He's been in his fair share of controversy. And the last one, Denny Hamlin. If there's anyone other than Harvick that has had a season for themselves, it's been Denny Hamlin. Absolutely amazing. You know, he's kind of became the face almost of JGR, kind of taking away the spotlight from Kyle Busch this year. Denny Hamlin is going to be hungry for a championship.
Especially
I think
after
it's going to be
last year.
especially after last year, how it ended. He's certainly going to be hungry. It's just I'm looking forward to it, man. I can't wait. I wish the race was tomorrow. I want to see what happens. I want to see who wins. You're going to see a lot of emotions fly. That's for sure.
Definitely. Well, it's time for predictions, starting with trucks. Who's winning it?
I personally haven't paid too much attention to trucks this year. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna make a bold prediction. Zane Smith is gonna win the truck championship. That is my prediction for sure.
Brendan, what about you?
Well, being a biased Sheldon Creed fan, Sheldon Creed.
See, I'm looking at it like this. You've got 3 GMS trucks. You've got that one Thor Sport. I'm going against the odds. I'm saying Grant Enfinger's winning it.
If there's anyone who's going to be out there, you know what? They're all going to lay it on the line, whether they're teammates at GMS or not. They're all going to be racing hard. They're all going to want that championship. They're going to want to bring home that hardware. Effinger being a veteran, I'm sure that he is definitely a strong shoe. There's no shot that all 4 people in the final 4 have a chance to win. So it'll certainly be interesting for sure.
And to move on to Xfinity, who are you guys picking? Briscoe, Cindric, Allgaier, or Haley?
I'm a Penske guy. I'm going with Austin Cindric.
Hey.
You know, a road course messiah who's also kind of proven to be maybe no slouch on ovals. I understand that Texas win came from Kyle Busch failing post-race inspection. He also won at Kentucky, I believe it was. Twice at Kentucky. So Austin Cindric, no slouch for the championship. I really think that it's going to end up coming down to Chase Briscoe and Austin Cindric just dueling it out. And obviously, there is a strong chance that Chase Briscoe can take home that championship, and I'm sure that would be a huge confidence boost for him going on into the Cup Series next year. So I'm going with Austin Cindric. Everyone else is not a slouch. There's things can happen, right? Final race of the year, who knows? Someone wrecks out, they all get collected, racing too tight. It'll certainly be interesting for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt. I'm gonna say Cindric as well. I just think Penske has those short tracks down, and it could help him in Xfinity too. But it'll be a good battle between him and Briscoe, I feel like. Allgaier could sneak in there. I don't think Haley will win it. Haley's too inexperienced from what I see. And he really doesn't have that good of runs when it's not on a plate track, it feels like. But yeah, either Cindric or Briscoe.
I'm sure that's what a lot of people are going for, Cindric or Briscoe. I'm sure a lot of people would love to see Justin Haley or Justin Allgaier as champion, but you got to look at these 2 Ford drivers, the only 2 full-time Ford drivers in Xfinity for the 2 top teams. As much as I'd love to see it, Chase Briscoe with such an up and down year personally, and with the emotion of getting the 14 and just a bunch of stuff. I'd love to see Briscoe do it, but at the same time, you never know. I feel like the weight could cave him in, and I'm not even going to go with Cindric on this one. I'm saying it's going to be Allgaier.
Ooh. Interesting choice. I mean, I'm sure we're going to have to find out. I'm definitely going to be having to tune into all 3 races. Xfinity, no doubt. All 4 of those drivers do have a chance. Justin Haley, I mean, great kid. It'll certainly be interesting. I mean, you know what? Like you can say that it is those 2 guys, right? Duking it out, Chase Briscoe, Austin Cindric. But if you're going the prediction of Justin Allgaier, maybe Justin Allgaier and Justin Haley look to play spoiler and kind of shake up everyone else's predictions.
And most importantly, the big championship, the Cup Series championship at Phoenix. Who's taking it home? Logano, Hamlin, Elliott, or Keselowski?
This is the one that I'm gonna be the most nerve-wracking to watch. You know, my driver. I am a Brad Keselowski fan. I'm hoping, praying to God, he's got that same car from Loudon and the same car from Richmond that was so good, just absolutely dominant. Bringing it here to Phoenix, you know, he said he wants it for Phoenix, and he has got it for Phoenix. He's paved his way there. You know, he's cut it close, but he's got there. My prediction is Brad Keselowski. I think that he's going to take it home. And hopefully I get to see another legendary post-race interview with him, maybe with another beer in his hand or something like that. It would certainly be interesting because Brad Keselowski is a character for sure.
Who I want to win is Chase or Brad. Brad being from Michigan, so, but I think it's gonna be Hamlin. Just everything leads up for Hamlin to win it, and he's been strong any track we went to this year, and Phoenix will be no different. So, Hamlin.
See, I'm looking at it in more detail than you guys for this one. Chase Elliott doesn't have a good history at Phoenix. That takes him off the table for me. Hamlin, Logano, everyone knows these two have such a long, bad history. I see these two wrecking each other, honestly. And as much as it hurts me to say this, after being a Carl Edwards fan from the day I started watching NASCAR, from when I was 2 years old to when he retired and had that crash at Homestead taking him out of the championship in 2016. They had their rivalry, but I want to see Keselowski do it. A lot of people forget that he was the 2012 champion. People forget that. And I'd love to see him just bring home another championship to make people remember he's there. He hasn't lost it, especially after being questioned all year. Is he returning to Penske? Is he taking over the 48? He's there to stay at Penske, and I think he's going to do it.
That's music to my ears. I mean, I hope that it happens. I mean, it's been a crazy year for Brad. Getting that win at Charlotte, he's picked up a few wins elsewhere. He wears his heart on his sleeve. You know, he's a great guy. He's a great fucking character. Great. I feel like Noah Gregson right now. I kind of just let that slip. You know, it's part of me for my language, but he's.
The adrenaline's getting to you. The adrenaline's getting to you. The excuse that can be your excuse for that one.
Yeah, I just had to, you know, interpret my inner Noah Gregson. But yeah, like you said, 2012 seems like people forget that a little bit. I mean, probably one of the most legendary post-race interviews I've ever seen. So that's one thing that I couldn't forget about that. But you know, there's a few guys that I hope don't win it. I don't want to see Chase Elliott win. I don't want to see Joey Logano win. No bad words to them. I think that Keselowski and Hamlin are the two most deserving to win. So hopefully it's between them, and we'll see how it goes.
See, I'm looking at it. If Chase Elliott wins, everyone's going to be plugging their ears because that siren in Dawsonville is going to be going off, and that's that, and all the quote-unquote bandwagons are going to be going insane. Oh no. I'm not looking forward to that if it happens. I mean, I like Chase, especially with his events this year with Kyle Busch, but the fan base gets to me.
I was going to say, I like Chase too. You know what? Following the footsteps of his dad, Bill, it's just, I just can't get behind his fan base. They just a little too toxic. Yeah, just a little too toxic for me. Yeah, you can't discredit Chase. I mean, really, he is a great driver. I mean, sure, is there someone else that maybe could have been there that's a little bit more deserving? Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr., maybe. But you know what? Chase Elliott put himself in the position to be there in the Final Four. All of the drivers have put themselves in the position to be there, to have a shot at that championship. Best of luck to all of them, and whoever wins, just hopefully it's meant to be. Hopefully it's just right. I just hope that it doesn't come down to some late race controversy or some stupid penalty or something. I just hope that it's just the best driver wins.
Yeah. Brendan, you have anything else to add?
Nope.
All right. Josh?
With the NASCAR, I mean that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm just kind of like I'm crossing my fingers right now. This week is going to be interesting. You know, these teams they're not going to have as much time as Logano did to work on his vehicle. Logano getting that win at Kansas, I'm sure he's had time to prep. Like those Penske cars have been amazing at short tracks. I don't think there's going to be too much going into Brad Keselowski's car. I mean, he's won 2 races with it already. Chase is going to be a guy that's preparing to go out there. Denny Hamlin's going to be a guy that's preparing hard to go out there. It's going to be amazing to see. Are we going to finish under the lights? Is it going to finish at night, or is it going to be during
Probably
the day?
the Cup race will.
Cup race will be under the lights?
Yeah. Honestly, I think all of them will finish under the lights, but I think Cup may just entirely be under the lights if they're smart about it.
Right.
Yeah. No.
Then again, being a West Coast race.
The Cup
when does the Cup race
starts
start?
at 3 because of Sunday Night Football.
So it will go into the night, though. It will be dark by the end of the race.
Well, here's the thing with Arizona. They don't do daylight savings, so it probably won't be dark.
What a shame. Would have been nice to see someone get crowned the championship under the lights.
It's because West Coast, too, they don't want to do... That's why we don't get an Auto Club night race anymore. But
kept it at Homestead.
Yeah. You know, it's definitely going to be a weird one. Phoenix hasn't been touched since the beginning of the season. No practice, no qualifying. You're going in there with a full head of steam, especially this being the first year with Phoenix being the championship finale. So it's definitely going to be interesting.
So how are they drawing pole? Are they doing it from...
They're doing it the same way they have all season.
So it'll be interesting to see who starts on the pole. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a long race. So whoever starts on pole, I mean, it's not like a sure shot, but yeah.
Speaking of the lineup, Parker has posted what he thinks will be from the math for after Martinsville, and it'll be Elliott, Logano on the front row, and Keselowski, Hamlin 3 and 4.
If the final 4 get the first 4 spots, I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they'll do like they did for the chase. The top 16 get the top 16, and so on.
Yeah.
So.
Well, does that about wrap it up for everything?
Yeah, I think we've covered everything.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you one more time for having me on here. It's been great. It's been a good conversation with you too, and hopefully looking forward to being on this again.
Yeah. Thank you too for coming on tonight. I'm going to leave this off with 2 more announcements. One of them being that we will be doing a reaction live stream to probably just the Cup race. I'm going to try setting it up for all 3, but it may just end up being Cup, so just everyone that's listening, keep an eye on the Instagram account. That's where I'll be posting on how we're doing this, where we're doing this, time-wise, all that. And then the other one being... After the NASCAR season, what are we going to do? Well, the podcast is for sure staying up weekly. And you two being here, you two are hopefully going to be a part of this new project. During the racing off-season, it's football. We're going to be discussing college football, the NFL, seeing what's going on there until racing comes back in February with NASCAR. We'll have a few things to talk about with F1, with its championship coming up later this month, as well as we may get an interview or 2 in during the off-season, which would be great. But for the most part, it may just be a whole different crew. I may not even be a part of it. I may just be doing my own thing, and I'm the host. So So it's going to be interesting. Hopefully, we can get new viewers, new backgrounds, and maybe it will stick on for next year as a full-time thing, turning this into every sport. But this is just a test to see things and to keep everything rolling. So hopefully that goes according to plan. But once again, to both of you, thank you guys for joining me on this one. I believe both of you are planning on being a part of the reactions this weekend.
Oh, 110%. I'm gonna have to kind of refrain myself during that. I'm
I
sure I'm
think
gonna be on
there will be
the
no
edge of my
limits.
seat the whole time.
I don't think there will be limits due to it being live reactions. So
Yeah.
as long
Especially during the truck race.
as we don't get a Kyle Larson incident, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, I think we'll be just fine, Jake. Again, thank you for having me on the podcast. I'm definitely looking forward to being part of it in the future. And yeah, it's been a great time. Thanks for having me.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you guys. And that wraps it up for episode 5 of the Burning Rubber podcast. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm Jake Scarborough, joined by Josh Corrigan and Brennan Reed. We'll see you guys for the live reactions this weekend, starting most likely Friday with the truck race. See ya.